Yo, what's up, guys? Back to another episode of Sports Action with Jackson, aka Clutch Coverage Sports. I'm here with co-host Braden here. Um, this is one of my favorite episodes or times of the year, honestly, dude. We're getting into the postseason of baseball. The Field of 64 has been released. Um, Today, we're going to be breaking down the regional predictions that we have. And for those of you who don't know, um, we're in round one, I guess you could say, of which we call the regionals, which there's 16 regions, which is the top 16 teams in the country. Okay. And every region has four teams. And every regional is double elimination, and the winner of that will play the winner of the region they are paired with in super regionals in a 3-game series. Um, so I guess to start off, we've got the first pairing, you could say, the Nashville Regional and the Hattiesburg Regional. The number one seed in the country is Vanderbilt. So let's talk about them and their regional first. Braden, what sticks out to you about these four teams if you want to kind of give a brief introduction of everybody?
Yeah, the thing that sticks out to me here is Vanderbilt. I think they're clear cut. I know they're number one seed here, but the regional's just not very strong. Um, Louisville came from the ACC, another power conference, but they were the 10th seed in the ACC, and they haven't really been playing good ball. They lost to Pittsburgh in round one of the ACC tournament. And then you look at ETSU, they did beat Tennessee in that midweek game, but it's still a really small school, and I feel like they had some luck on their side against Tennessee. And then Wright State. Um, I think they're a little bit better than they get the credit for. I think they're one of the better 4 seeds, actually, so it kind of sucks that Vanderbilt gets paired with them. But Vanderbilt should kind of walk through this regional, I would assume. What do you think about the regional?
Yeah, I mean, I agree, dude. I mean, looking at these 4 seeds, I mean, the game one's going to be Vanderbilt as the 1 seed, and then as the 4 seed in this region, Wright State. I, I don't really see Wright State doing anything here. I do remember years ago they played. They were the 4 seed in Tennessee's regional, and they actually took Tennessee to hell and back. Tennessee ended up winning that game with like a walk-off home run or whatever it was. I don't know if you've seen the video of the Tennessee player flipping off the outfield as he's rounding second, but that was against Wright State. That was 3-4 years ago. But other than that, I really don't know much about this Wright State team. I mean, their record's not bad. They're coming in at 38-19. Then you got the 2 seed Louisville playing the 3 seed ETSU. Honestly, dude, I think we could see ETSU beat Louisville here. I mean, Louisville, they started off good, pretty strong. They had a big win over UT in the first weekend. They had some pretty notable conference wins. But like you said, late they struggled. I mean, they got beat by Pittsburgh in their conference tournament, a team that we had written off. So yeah, I really don't see much happening here. I think Vanderbilt's kind of the clear cut out of this region, but I think you have to, if there's a team out of this region to keep out a look for, I think it'd be ETSU. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think they are the most dangerous team aside from Vanderbilt, just because they did beat Tennessee in that midweek game. But also their offense isn't too bad. I think Louisville's just struggled to put the ball in play lately. I think I saw a stat that they led the ACC in strikeouts in ACC play, hitting wise. So yeah, I think ETSU, you could look out for them, but Vanderbilt, like we both said, is definitely the favorite to win this regional, as they should be, because they probably will roll.
Yeah, no. I mean, ETSU, they're 41-15. They actually have the best record out of all these teams in this particular region. I know that doesn't really mean much based on who they've played, but yeah, I'm with you there. I think you could pretty much write on Vanderbilt, but this is postseason baseball. Anything can happen. So if I were to pick an upset here, it would be ETSU. Moving on to who they're paired with, the 16 overall seed Southern Miss. This is the Hattiesburg Regional. The 4 teams is the 1 seed is Southern Miss, the 4 seed is Columbia, the 2 seed is Alabama, and the 3 seed is Miami. In my opinion, this is a pretty bad draw for Southern Miss. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a bad draw for Southern Miss. And it's not just because I'm not high on Southern Miss. I know you're not high on Southern Miss either. Um, but Columbia, they're dangerous. Their offense looked really good in the Ivy tournament, and that'll be their first round matchup. But Alabama is actually the favorite in this regional, behind shortstop Justin LeBron, one of our guys we talked about a lot. He's got over 70 RBIs, leads the SEC, and he gets it done, fields his position well. And then Miami, they've had some late struggles, but they can hit the ball. And so I think, honestly, I would say Alabama and Miami both hit the ball better than Southern Miss.
I would agree. I would agree cold-heartedly. I mean, call me a hater. I don't care. But I don't see a way Southern Miss gets out of this region, especially if they did get out of this region. They're going to have at least one loss under their belt going in this week. I don't see a way they get a clean sweep in this regional. I know that Hattiesburg Southern Miss crowd can get pretty rowdy, but man, they're going up against some big time ball players and some big time ball clubs like Alabama, who was on the verge of hosting. They were on the bubble. Had they have beaten Tennessee, they would probably be hosting right now. So I think the winner of this regional is probably going to be Alabama. I don't know about you, but that's my first upset, I guess. But I wouldn't even consider it an upset, honestly. I think we're going to see Bama winning this region. What do you think?
Yeah, I like Bama. I mean, they're Justin LeBron, Cade Snell. They have a really good lineup, top to bottom. But I think Southern Miss, I think they will win the regional if Alabama loses that first game to Miami. But I think if Alabama wins that first game to Miami, there's no stopping Bama. I think they might get the sweep out of the regional. But it's just all going to depend on that first game, because I said Columbia was pretty solid, but it's still going to be a really tough time for them to beat Southern Miss in Hattiesburg. So, if Southern Miss gets it done in round one and then they'll play Miami, then I think they could definitely win the regional. But if Bama gets that win under their belt, I think they'll come in and beat Southern Miss, and they'll be hard to stop in a double elimination.
And that here's another thing that I will say raises some question marks for Alabama in this region is their pitching. Their pitching, in my opinion, looked great early on in the season, but they've kind of took a dip later on. I mean, and they got guys like Riley Quick, who we know can throw pretty hard. He reaches around 99. Like he's got a lot of velo to him. Kind of struggles to find the strike zone, but when he does, usually his stuff is pretty hard to hit. So I think, honestly, that if you get a guy like that going, or a guy like Zane Adams, who at one point was their Friday night guy, I know he kind of got bumped down to Sunday, but if he can get going too, I mean, that's a really tough 1-2 combo. Then you obviously got Cade Snell, LeBron. You've got guys that can hit the ball and get on base when you need them to. So if this lineup can get hot and this pitching staff can, I'm not saying go out there and throw a perfect game, but if they can just go out there and kind of hold off Southern Miss's offense, or I guess Miami, if Miami gets going too, because they've been pretty dangerous in games this year. But I feel like if Bama can just go in there, play Alabama baseball, not try to do too much, I think you can write them in the column in a super. But at the same time, I mean, if they lose, all it takes is one loss for them, and they've kind of screwed. I don't think they have the pitching to go into a game 7 of a regional, or not game 7, I guess game 6, whatever but you know what I'm saying, into a, finale game 2, whatever. I don't know if I'd trust them on that pad of pitching, but maybe they do. Maybe their pitching shows out this weekend, but I still got Bama written off on this regional. Moving on. All right. We have the number 9 seed Florida State, the Tallahassee Regional. They are hosting Bethune-Cookman, the 4 seed, Northeastern, who we'll talk about here in a second, as the 2 seed, and Mississippi State as the 3 seed. I already know the first thing you're going to say, but what stands out to you about this region?
I know a lot of people are talking Northeastern because of that 27-game win streak that is the hottest team in baseball, best record in baseball. But I'm really looking at Mississippi State. I know we talked about them earlier. You were high on them coming into the SEC tournament. You said they would beat A&M. You said they would beat Auburn. I still think they would have beat Auburn if they got past A&M. But I'm really interested in that Mississippi State team. Ace Reese, Hunter Hines, they can really hit the ball. Those two guys combined for about 35, 36 home runs. So, yeah, that's the team that sticks out to me the most. I know a lot of people are talking Northeastern. But then also Florida State, I mean, they can hit the cover off of baseball. Alex Lodis, there's something special about that kid, man. Like, I think he's got the chance to win the Golden Spikes. Just watched an interview with him. He's a great guy off the field. But I don't know. This is a stacked regional. I think it's probably top 3 in most talent of a regional.
I would agree, honestly. I'm glad you brought that up. This is a tough regional for Florida State, but I'm still taking Florida State out of this regional. And here's why. Mississippi State, honestly, I think they get that game 1 done over Northeastern, especially if they're throwing Pico Khan. If Pico Khan's on the mound for Mississippi State, I think you can pretty much write off whoever you're playing against as a W, unless it's like we saw earlier in the year, like Anthony Ianson or somebody like that, a tough pitcher going against Pico. But I mean, I don't know much about Northeastern's pitching staff. I know they don't have any guys like a Pico Khan. I mean, Pico Khan, in my opinion, is a top 5 pitcher in the country. If you don't want to put him top 5, you got to put him top 10. So I think he's going to be the difference maker in that game 1 matchup. And because Mississippi State beats Northeastern here, I don't know how Northeastern's going to do in that losing bracket, So it's going to be a Mississippi State, Florida State regional, in my opinion. Maybe Northeastern's better than we're giving them credit for, but I don't think you can give them credit whenever they haven't really played anybody. I'm sorry. A lot of people may not be happy with saying that, but, I mean, Mississippi State's played LSU. They've played UT. They've played A&M. They've played tough. I mean, I'm bringing up A&M, but A&M really was a good baseball team this year. They were just too inconsistent. But Mississippi State played some tough teams this year, and Northeastern really didn't. And I feel like that's going to become a factor in a regional game. If Northeastern's getting hit in the mouth a little bit, how are they going to respond? I mean, 27 games, that's a lot, but none of that means anything going into a regional. Like we're talking about, Mississippi State was one of the hottest teams in the country, but that didn't mean anything when they played A&M, right? And that's SEC tournament game. And they got beat bad. If they go out there and play like that, they could lose to Northeastern. But then again, they were throwing like they were playing a midweek game. They weren't throwing Pico. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like one of those things. And they were going against it was Prager pitching, right?
Yeah, Prager did.
Yeah, I mean, they were going against one of A&M's guys. Anyways, not sure. I know we got time. Not trying to go off on a tangent here. But, man, give me Florida State because I don't think outside of Pico Khan, I don't think Mississippi State gets it done, especially in a tournament setting with their pitching. Maybe they do, but I'm going to take the Seminoles in this one. I think they're a good baseball team. A lot of people this year have kind of written them off. And said they're a little overrated, but I couldn't disagree anymore. I think Florida State's a team that we could see in Omaha, but I definitely think they make it out of the regional for sure. What do you think?
Yeah, I was just had the ability to look up some of the Northeastern guys. They're going to start, I'm assuming, Will Jones on Friday. He's actually got a 1.82 ERA in his 14 games started, which is really good. But then you have to look at he hadn't really played. They haven't played the best of competition, so it's going to be a challenge for him when he gets to the bats of Mississippi State. Obviously, so I will give the edge to Pico Khan. But I'm going to like to see what Will Jones has with the ball. And then they got 2 other guys that have sub-3 ERAs as well, who are their starters. So they do have a good rotation. We'll just have to see how they match up against SEC hitting and then Florida State, who can mash a ball. But, yeah, I'll still take Florida State to come out of the regional. But partly because Bethune-Cookman is probably the most free win they'll ever get. So I think
I feel like every year Bethune-Cookman's in the tournament and they just get absolutely mauled.
they do.
By whoever they play. Like
I think Florida State puts it to them for sure.
They're always – have you noticed that every year they're always in there as a 4 seed? You know what I mean? You always see them dancing up on the screen on, Selection Sunday or I guess Monday. And, they're dancing just to lose. Like at some point in time, you got to realize, like, look, man, this is our last weekend of baseball. But, yeah, I agree. I don't think there's a team in this regional that Bethune-Cookman has a shot against.
Yeah, I'll give the edge to Florida State, partly just because I saw Miles Bailey hit a ball 480 feet against Duke. So, they can tear a cover off of baseball, and I think that's what's going to win it here in the Tallahassee Regional.
Moving on, the number 8 seed Oregon State hosting in the Corvallis Regional. The 4 teams here, obviously the 1 seed Oregon State playing against the 4 seed St. Mary's. Then you got the 2 seed TCU and then the 3 seed USC. This is a very interesting regional to me because you got a team like TCU who was on the bubble of hosting. Honestly, I was shocked that they didn't host. I mean, I know they lost in their conference championship game, but I mean, your prediction almost rang true. They almost won it if hadn't it been for Arizona's late game comeback. But I think I don't know. You say what you think is going to happen here, but this is a tough regional for Oregon State, in my opinion. What would you say?
Yeah, I think it's tough, but it's not just because the teams are so good. I think it's kind of weak. I'm not big on Oregon State hosting as a double. I mean, getting a double host, I don't think they should have been in the top 8.
Yeah, I agree. I would have flip-flopped them in Florida State, honestly.
Well, for sure, but I also think they're worse than Ole Miss. I think they're worse than maybe had a better resume than Clemson, but they definitely shouldn't have got the 8.
No, I think you say that maybe better resume, but I would put Clemson over Oregon State. I mean, Oregon State really hasn't. I mean, I guess they played Oregon. Who else have they really played this year? I mean, Oregon State really. I mean, they're an independent team. They're not in a conference, so they're not playing in conference tournaments. They're not. I really think that puts them at a disadvantage.
I do too. I think it's going to be, I wouldn't say necessarily like a wake-up call because they really haven't played anybody. But if they get by St. Mary's, which might be a struggle because they did score 15 runs in their championship.
Yeah, I actually watched that game against UC San Diego. That was a really good baseball game, by the way, and that game could have went either way. I mean, we could have been talking about San Diego right now. They showed they can win a game late, and I mean that was a late night game. So obviously the West Coast timing isn't really going to affect St. Mary's like it will. I'm not saying it'll have a drastic effect, but obviously TCU is not going to be used to this West Coast timing as much as USC, St. Mary's, and Oregon State. You know what I mean? But, yeah, I agree, dude. They could struggle against St. Mary's. Do I think they will? No. Honestly, I think Oregon State has that covered. But what's interesting to me is I think TCU and USC is going to be a really interesting matchup. Obviously, you've got a team like, TCU who they can't really pitch that well, but they can score some runs. I mean, they can score some runs. If they get those bats hot, I mean, they might be a tough team. But, I mean, I'm sure you'd agree here. I think Oregon State's going to make it out of this one just because, like, I don't think anybody else has the pitching to go with them. If TCU had pitching, I would put TCU down all day long. But because of they're traveling so far, I don't know how far of a flight or bus drive that is, but from Texas to Oregon. But I mean, I'm thinking California because there's 2 Cali schools in there. But from Texas to Oregon, that's kind of a far travel. The timing is going to be different, and the weather is going to be a lot different. It is the summer, but it's not going to be near as hot. I don't know. I think TCU kind of it's not the worst draw they could have gotten, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
let's talk about TCU because I think they honestly have a bad draw in terms of seeding, but being a TCU, if I was a TCU fan, I would be pretty excited.
I would not be upset. No, I don't want people to think I wouldn't be. I agree with you. I wouldn't be upset with this draw. You could have gotten a lot worse of a draw. You could be in the Fayetteville Regional right now or somewhere like that, right?
Yeah.
But I still don't. I don't know. Do you think they can win it?
I do think they can win it. I think they have veteran bats that I'm shocked to see. Like, I want to see how they can play in a tournament setting because they have guys that were on the roster 2 years ago when they made it to Omaha. Obviously led by Braden Taylor. He's not there anymore. But you look at Arquette as obviously the best player from Oregon State. But my X factor player is shortstop from TCU, Anthony Silva. I think in the 7-hole, he can really turn a lineup and flip a lineup around. And if he has a good regional, I could definitely see TCU making it out of here. I do think Oregon State would be the favorite, but if I'm picking a team other than them, I'm taking TCU for sure. I think USC is weak, and it's only all it takes is 9 innings. I know it's a lot of innings, but the pitcher just got to show up one day and beat Oregon State because I think they can easily get by USC. So TCU wouldn't surprise me at all.
But who do you have?
I'll take TCU. I'm gonna be honest because obviously not all the ones are gonna make it. I mean that's just not how it works. But also by the fact that Oregon State hasn't played a lot of teams, I think TCU is hungry and I think they get their number.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad take at all. I'm still going to roll with Oregon State here. I just like them, and I'd like their coach in postseason baseball. But, I mean, dude, you're completely right. TCU could make a run here, especially with their bats. If they get those bats hot, and like you said, all it takes is a couple outings, good outings, you know what I mean, by a couple good pitchers to beat Oregon State, They haven't really played anybody. I mean, I guess Oregon but they're not used to a tournament setting. TCU just went and almost won the Big 12 tournament. That's another thing you got to think about, Moving on, we've got the Chapel Hill Regional. North Carolina is the number 5 ranked team in the country. They're the number 1 seed. Then you've got Holy Cross, Oklahoma, and then Nebraska. This is honestly one of my favorite regionals just because of that Oklahoma-Nebraska pairing. What's your thoughts looking at this bracket, or I guess this region?
If I watched, let's say, 2 hours of Nebraska coverage in baseball and I had people talking me up on Nebraska, I still wouldn't buy it. I'm not high on this team at all. I'm not high on OU as well, but I think OU is going to steamroll Nebraska. You can't sit here and tell me any Big Ten team is good at baseball. I get the hype behind UCLA because they're the clear-cut best, but it was a complete Cinderella run from Nebraska to win the Big Ten. And I don't think they have what it takes to win a regional. I don't think they have what it takes to win a game. I think in the elimination game, Holy Cross could definitely put it to Nebraska. But I'm going to take UNC because they looked so good in the ACC tournament. I mean, I hate UNC, but they looked great. They can hit the ball. DeCaro looked so good on the mound. It's just a team that they're so well put together. I mean, top to bottom of the order. Their pitching staff is great. It will be a battle, though, between OU and UNC to me. But yeah, I think between those two Jordan Brand schools, OU and UNC, it'd be a good game. But I got UNC taking the regional.
Yeah, I agree. I do. But I will say, I'm really curious on what OU does, on what Coach Skip does with Kyson. Do they hold Kyson to play North Carolina? Do they kind of let him rest at that Friday game against Nebraska, and then you throw your guns against North Carolina? Because if that's the case, we could see Oklahoma in the winner's bracket. I'm not saying that they would do this, but if they
I
did,
would.
and I think there's a good shot we could see him doing it. And if they do it, I don't know if it'll work, but it gives them the best chance to beat North Carolina is if you put, because in my opinion, if Kyson Witherspoon is on the mound, I think you have a 50-50 shot to win any game against any team in the country, just because of how good that kid is. Like he's like a Liam Doyle or a Cade Anderson. Some people could argue that he's better. We're not going to get in that discussion right now, but he's a top 3 pitcher in the country, and you put him on the mound, you have a chance to beat anybody. With that being said, that's one game out of, I guess you're guaranteed 2 games, but if you want to win it all, you got 3 games, right? So that's only one game of this regional. So you're right. The way North Carolina played, I would be very surprised if they didn't make it out of this regional. But I will say Oklahoma, if there is a team that can do anything, I think it would be Oklahoma.
How dumb would you look though if you didn't pitch Kyson Witherspoon? You get to that elimination game and then you go, well, I mean, we're playing Holy Cross, we're going to win. You don't pitch Witherspoon again and you lose and you go down 0-2.
I don't think that's going to happen though, honestly. That you would look really stupid. But I think Coach Skip is smarter than that. I think if you don't pitch in game 1 and you do lose, which there is a possibility, I think you got to throw them in the elimination game, no matter who you're playing, because it's like you don't win this game, you're out. So at that point, if you're playing on one leg, it's kind of balls to the walls. OU doesn't have that complete of a pitching staff to be able to just throw whoever. Maybe they can. I mean, they got 2 solid, weekend starters. Like if they wanted to flip-flop them, I think they could still get it done. But, man, you can't go 2 games without throwing Kyson. They don't have the offense to do that. But, yeah, that would be pretty bad if they did that. I think the whole college baseball world would laugh at them. And if I was Kyson, I'd be like, F you. Like he didn't get his last week he didn't get to play his last week into baseball. But yeah, we both got North Carolina out of this one. They're paired up with the 12 seed Oregon in the Eugene regional. I think we could both agree this is a weak region. You got number 1 Oregon playing number 4 Utah Valley. Then you've got Arizona as the 2 seed against Cal Poly, the 3 seed. Who do you think is going to take this region, or anything that sticks out about it for you?
Yeah, I know we're going to talk about some big upsets later at the end with some questions we have, but Utah Valley, I would watch out for sure. They looked really good in the Missouri Valley, I believe is the conference they play out of. I think, but they looked I can't remember the exact name of the conference, but they looked really good in that tournament. I watched them a couple times. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually beat Oregon in the first round. And then Arizona, inconsistent, late comeback against TCU, and then not much out of Cal Poly that I've seen. They beat actually A&M in a series 2-1.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, they were. I think they started the year like 1-5, and I was like, wow, like there's no way we just lost 2-1 to them. But they put a good season up. I'm not big on this regional at all.
Not either.
But I'm gonna take Arizona in the regional. I think they're playing close to home. I mean, not too far from home. But then it's a Pac-12 matchup. Oregon and Arizona in the same region. I like Arizona in this one.
Yeah, honestly, like not. I'm gonna say my prediction, but like Oregon really, if you look at it, has struggled in the postseason in baseball. I mean, I could go back to like 2019 whenever LSU was put in the regional as a 3 seed and we made it out of Oregon. They had a couple late inning errors. Last year, they had a chance to win the series against A&M and they blew that away. And what was that comeback y'all had? How many runs? Like you remember that, right? Like y'all came back against Oregon, gave that series away to y'all too. Like,
yeah, it was. I don't remember the exact. I just remember Caden Kent hit the grand slam.
Yeah, like that was
but we were down at least 4 at one point for sure.
Now, granted, that was an A&M team that,
was a lot better.
Yeah, a lot better. Went to the championship, almost won it, right? But still, though, that's two instances, and I can't remember the last time Oregon was in Omaha. I don't.
They have experience, though. They're
It's
returning
tough
a
for
lot
me
of
to
those
sit here and what?
They're returning a lot of that same team from the College Station Regional last year. So they do have a lot of experience.
Yeah, no, I know they got a lot of returning, and the thing is, it's like I'm thinking I want to say Arizona, but then it's like I do have some questions raised about Arizona as a whole, as a team. But you know what? I'm going to kind of ride them here in this Oregon regional. I mean, Arizona has star power. Like if they can get hot, they are a dangerous team. That's a team that we were kind of high on earlier on in the season. Arizona is a good baseball school, and you know they won their conference tournament to get there this year. And I think, I mean, they would have been in the tournament either way, but still, I think they're the hottest team right now in this bracket. I mean, Oregon, they didn't even win the Big Ten, and all you have is UCLA, right? Like, what are you guys doing? So yeah, give me. I'm with you there. I like the Arizona picks. I'm gonna ride with you on that one. Give me Arizona in this one. Moving on to the Conway Regional, the number 13 overall region seed, Coastal Carolina is hosting Fairfield as the 4 seed, as the 2 seed. Chomp, 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 Florida Gators, baby. And then the 3 seed, East Carolina. What sticks out to you about this regional? I think we're going to say the same thing, but what are your thoughts?
Obviously, Florida's the team that sticks out. I think a lot of people are talking about them. Obviously, being an SEC team, being hot lately, and then getting a draw that's pretty favorable for them. I don't really like East Carolina. They are playing close to home. I think Florida gets by them for sure. I think Coastal beats Fairfield, and I think you'll get the 1-2 matchup that I really could see going either way. I'm kind of high on this Coastal team. I think they're better than Southern Miss.
I agree. I do think they're better than Southern Miss.
Yeah, but I was sold on Florida, and then I saw them play against Ole Miss, and then I was like, if you really can only put up one run in a game, I thought they were a good hitting team, so they could go cold against Coastal. But even if they lose that first game, I think they do have the horsepower to win 2 if they have to come from the losers bracket. So I'm gonna take Florida in the regional, but Coastal definitely wouldn't shock me if they came out on top here.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna back the greatest drink ever made, Gatorade, here in this region. I think they are gonna go ahead, use that star power, use that lineup that is one of the best in the country. If they hadn't started off bad, this would be a Florida team that everyone's been talking about all year, because this team really is a good baseball team, and they finally have glued together. I know they didn't beat Ole Miss in that SEC tournament game, but I mean, they weren't throwing Liam Peterson or anybody like that. It essentially was like a midweek game for them, right? And they didn't need that win at all. Florida's a team that I think should have hosted, and I think they're going to steamroll this region. Honestly, I think they're going 3-0 this weekend, and I think they get good rest going into that super against whoever they play out of Auburn's regional. Coastal, I guess, could make some noise here, but they're somebody I would say are pretty much a lock to not be in supers this weekend. Yeah, give me the Gators, man. I mean, they're playing good baseball, and I love those arms they got in that bullpen. Moving on, they're paired with the number 4 seed Auburn in the Auburn regional. This regional consists of Auburn as the 1 seed, as the 4 seed Central Connecticut State, as the 2 seed NC State, and as the 3 seed Stetson. Any thoughts, predictions on this regional?
No, it's Auburn. I mean, they probably got the worst 3 seed. Probably should have been a 4 seed Stetson. NC State is cold. Like they looked awful against Clemson. And then Central Connecticut State, they got a good mascot. They're the Blue Devils, but they don't really have anything going for them. Auburn, obviously, they were the number 1 RPI team before losing to A&M. I think they absolutely destroy whoever's put in front of them in any game. Ike Irish is going to mash 5 homers this weekend. It's Auburn. It's Auburn by a lot.
Yeah, I actually disagree. I'm taking NC State out of this regional, and here's why. NC State, you're right, they're not the hottest team in the country going into this weekend, but they're a good baseball team. They've been competitive in a lot of different matchups, and they have some pretty good series wins. I mean, they won that series against Clemson. I might be wrong, or maybe I'm right here. I think they beat North Carolina in a series as well. I could be wrong, but those are
they
two
won.
top
They won
teams.
2-1.
Yeah, they won that series. I mean, they're a good baseball team. And then you get a team like Auburn. Yes, RPI #1 until they lost to A&M. They've got Ike Irish. They've got these big bats. But there's one question mark that's going to hurt them this weekend, and that's pitching. Whenever your ace pitcher is Sam Dutton, you've got problems. They aren't a terrible pitching staff, but they're not a good pitching staff. And this weekend, if you're having to go play 5 games this weekend, that's going to hurt. I mean, if you haven't looked, go look at their midweek scores. They've struggled in a lot of their midweek games this year. They're not blowing teams out of the water on midweeks. I know they have a couple midweek games over, or 1 or 2 at least over Georgia Tech. Congrats to them on that. But still, I think we're going to see some upsets this weekend, and I think NC State's going to be a team that not a lot of people saw coming out of this regional, but I think they win this regional. Call it crazy, but yeah, I'm riding the Wolfpack on this one. Moving on, we've got the Austin Regional, the overall #2 seed, obviously, Texas. They're hosting the 4 seed Houston Christian. Then they got the 2 seed UTSA, and then the 3 seed Kansas State. What sticks out to you about this regional? Who do you think makes it out?
It sucks to say because I'm not even high on Texas. I don't even think they're that good. But they got one of the easiest draws I've ever seen. Even their super pair is weak. They really paved the way to Omaha for the Longhorns. I hope they slip up against UTSA. I don't think Kansas State will even put up any fight against anybody because they're not very good lately. And then Houston Christian, again, one of the worst 4s. So I'm going to take Texas. I hate it, but they're easily the best team here.
Yeah, I don't see Texas losing this regional either, but I will say things we got to think about here is Jared Spencer, their ace, big-time lefty pitcher for them, is out. I know he's been out for a little bit now, but that does hurt because that was like your anchor in your bullpen. I mean, they've got guys like Volantis, like Ruger Riojas, who can go in there, win you games. I mean, Volantis, obviously, freshman SEC Player of the Year. They still do have that star power in their bullpen, but you're missing, like your guy. You're missing your quarterback, and that is going to hurt. And then you got UTSA, who, in my opinion, is the best of all the mid-major schools. I think they're better than Coastal. I think they're better than Southern Miss. I think they're better than DBU. That's just my personal opinion. I think they've got some really good ball players on that team, and they've got some pretty big wins over UT and A&M. As a mid-major school, those are big-time wins for you. Kansas State's a team who I'm really not sure how they got in the tournament. I mean, we were high on them earlier on in the season, but they haven't really done much, honestly. Like, they got swept by UCF. They go in there and they got beat by Houston pretty bad in the conference tournament, and they were my pick to win the Big 12. So I'm not making that mistake again. I will say a fun storyline to look at this weekend is D. Kennedy, who played on UT's team last year, is coming back to his former school to play for a regional. Not that that's going to have like a big hold or anything. Kansas State and UT probably won't play each other. I think UTSA is going to win that matchup. I think UT is going to win this regional. But I will say UTSA, I would not put it past them to kind of raise some hell this weekend. But and Kansas State could too. I don't think they will. But if a Kansas State team shows up like the same team that showed up against Arkansas and LSU beginning of the season, maybe we do see Kansas State, cause some trouble, but I doubt it. I agree with you. I think UT makes it out of this regional. Moving on, the Los Angeles regional, who I'm going to be honest, I'm probably not going to watch a single game this weekend of that regional. None of the teams really I'm high on at all. UCLA, I don't think they're the best team. I don't even think they're the best team in their conference. I'm taking Oregon. I know that's up for debate. I don't even think they're the best. I don't think they should have hosted. Okay, then they're hosting their regional, right? Then you got number 4 Fresno State, who barely is above 500. I mean, they're 31-27, and they're not playing anybody all season either. Then you've got UC Irvine, who is a powerful 2 seed, and they had hosting hopes for a while. I mean, they had a non-conference victory on the weekend, by the way, over Vanderbilt, which I will say is a very different Vanderbilt team week 1 than it is now, obviously. Then you've got Arizona State, who I know you think more than anybody really shouldn't be in the tournament. But yeah, what sticks out to you about this weekend? Who do you think is going to win? And
Yeah, I think UCLA is better than Oregon. If you talk about the Big Ten, but that's not the question here. And then you said you won't watch a single game here. I don't think I will either. But UC Irvine is definitely a team that can do damage. They beat Vanderbilt in the non-conference matchup earlier in the year. And then Arizona State has no business being here. So I think UC Irvine will win that first game. Not too high on Fresno State either. So it will be between UCLA and UC Irvine, in my opinion. 2 teams out of California. I'm going to give the edge to UC Irvine just because.
I agree.
I don't think the Big Ten, obviously is not a good baseball conference. And the fact that they just couldn't beat Nebraska, and the only way Nebraska's in this tournament is because they won the Big Ten. I'm taking UC Irvine.
Yeah, I agree, dude. I agree. UCLA's probably got the best pitching staff of the 4 teams. But, honestly, it doesn't matter. UC Irvine's they've got a great lineup. They top to bottom, they can hit the ball. I think I'm going to take them this weekend. Just because, they're also a mid-major school that people got to start thinking about. This isn't a team I think is going to go to Omaha or anything, obviously, but in this particular region, I like this draw a lot. They're not having to travel far. They're staying in state. It's not like they're going all the way across the country to Tallahassee or anything like that. No, I agree with you. I think this is an upset we see this weekend, and I really wouldn't even consider it an upset. UC Irvine, was a potential host pretty much all year. They were in that top 25 and always in a discussion of hosting. They were definitely on that bubble as well. So, yeah, give me UC Irvine here. Moving on, we got the Oxford Regional, the number 10 overall seed, Ole Miss. They're obviously hosting the number 1 seed of this regional. They're playing 4 seed Murray State, the 2 seed Georgia Tech, and the 3 seed Western Kentucky. What's your thoughts, and who do you got winning this regional?
Yeah, Murray State has one of the worst strength of schedules in the nation. I know they're 39-13, so people that look at that record be like, oh, how are they a 4 seed? Didn't play anybody at all, so don't even look at that record. But then Georgia Tech, I'm not obviously high on, but a 40-win team out of the ACC. Talks about them hosting. They were a little upset that they didn't get to host, even though they were number 1 winners of the ACC outright. They dropped that first game to Clemson behind a sell job by Mason Patel, one of the worst pitchers in the game of college baseball. His stats are great, but I think he's one of the worst. He has no put away pitch. But anyway, Ole Miss should win this regional, and I think Western Kentucky will win that game against Georgia Tech.
Come on, dude. Don't even start this, bro. Georgia Tech is the ACC champions. They won the regular season title. Okay, this is a top 15 hitting team in the country. They're not losing to Western Kentucky. Okay, I'm sorry. Continue, but
it's gonna be 4-4. They're gonna put Mason Patel in. They're gonna hit a grand slam.
No,
He's a terrible pitcher. I don't see what people see in him.
Honestly, I'll do you one better. I've got Georgia Tech making it out of this regional.
Yeah,
and here's why. I think they're the best hitting ball club out of these 4 teams. Yeah, they haven't played the schedule Ole Miss has played. But you know what? This Georgia team is magical. It's their coach's last season coaching as well, the ACC Coach of the Year. I think that this team's got a feeling to them, and I would love to see that Athens matchup against Georgia. So give me the Yellow Jackets here. Honestly, I love Georgia Tech this year. I know we've disagreed on this team all year, and I think that they proved the world wrong in Oxford this weekend, and I think they win it. I think they win the damn thing. Mason Patel or no Mason Patel, it doesn't matter because they will win this weekend.
Yeah, when the bracket came out, I thought there was a 3 seed. I thought Western Kentucky was the 2. That's how bad Georgia Tech is.
Dude, you're talking about the ACC champions here, man. Like, put some respect on their name. I mean, we're a scrappy baseball team who gets on base and they drive runners in. I mean, realistically, Ole Miss has a good shot of winning this regional. It's not a bad draw for them. I will say, though, these 3 baseball teams, Western Kentucky, Georgia Tech, and Ole Miss, and Murray State, too, for that matter, all score a lot of runs. This is probably, if you're looking for just high-powered offenses, I think you tune into this regional this weekend because I think you're going to see some I think the over on a lot of these games is going to hit. I think you're going to see some like 10 to 11 ball games, stuff like that. I don't think you're seeing a 3-1 or anything like that this weekend. I think you're going to see a lot of points scored, and especially in that Western Kentucky Georgia Tech matchup. But obviously, we're going to have to move on from this regional. But I know Braden over here, he's got Ole Miss. I've got Georgia Tech. It's going to be an exciting regional. Moving on, they're paired with the number 7 seed, Georgia. This is the Athens regional. Georgia's hosting, obviously. They've got Binghamton as their 4 seed. Their 2 seed, Duke. And then their 3 seed, I don't even want to – like, how are they in the tournament? Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is dog water. I don't know how they're in this tournament. And we were talking about this off air. Some guy posted on TikTok that he had Oklahoma State making it out of this regional. And that is probably the craziest take I've ever heard in my life because it's going to be Duke or it's going to be Georgia. It will not be Oklahoma State. I'll put my life savings on that too. Who do you think is going to win this regional? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm a Duke guy. So, from the first draw, I was a little upset that they got paired with Georgia. I was kind of hoping for a team like Oregon or even Oregon State, like just a non-SEC opponent because Georgia is good. But if you look at the matchup, I think Duke matches up really well against Georgia just because both teams can hit the ball well. But Georgia also, they don't have a lot of control on the mound. And Duke leads the nation in walks. And then AJ Gracia, every time you cannot throw him a strike. He will hit a double in the gap or it will be over the fence. You cannot throw him a strike right now. He is one of the nation's best hitters as of late. And then Ben Miller. He's got the greatest handlebar mustache I've ever seen. Looks like he's straight out of a Western film. So
what about my mustache?
Does not compare to Ben Miller. If Kevin Costner is ever making another Western, Ben Miller could be a good actor. We'll have to see, but I think
if I got a haircut, I could go in and be the next Kevin Costner. But maybe I'm more of like a Brad Pitt guy. I mean, I don't know. Anyways, let's go back to college baseball. Ben Miller does have a nice stash. Continue what you were saying, my bad.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm gonna take Duke in the regional, but Georgia can really hit the ball. Zabo's back, and I'm a big Slade Alford guy. But just because the pitching gives up so many walks, I'm gonna take the patient bats with Duke. To win the regional.
Yeah, that's not a bad take. With that being said, I'm going with Georgia. I think Georgia's going to win this regional. But, yeah, Duke could for sure make a lot of noise this weekend. I mean, they get on base, like you said, and they've got guys who can drive in runs, right? I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe we'll be seeing Duke in Omaha with a bunch of people with stash shirts. I mean, who knows, right? I don't think that's going to happen. I've got Georgia in this regional. They score a lot of runs. They hit the ball out of the ballpark. They're playing in front of their home crowd. And I mean, I know we haven't really talked about, but I'm going to be honest. I've never even heard of Binghamton. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe they're really good. I don't know. I don't think so. Their record doesn't really jump out at me either. They're 29-24. So yeah, I don't think Georgia will struggle much with that one. And then you've got Oklahoma State. who man, they're not really an exciting team at all. Their pitching isn't great. Their hitting isn't great. There's nothing they really jump out at anybody, I feel like, with. So I think you'd have to have Duke's hotel to catch on fire, and I think you'd have to have a bunch of the Georgia players get the flu if Duke wants, or not Duke, if Oklahoma State wants any chance to win this weekend. Honestly, I'm taking Binghamton over Oklahoma State.
In that elimination game.
Yeah, I like Binghamton over Oklahoma State here. Oklahoma State, man, they're gonna have a rough weekend. But yeah, I've got Georgia. He's got Duke. That'll be a fun regional. Moving on, Baton Rouge, the number 6 overall regional seed, LSU. We're hosting number 4 seed Little Rock, who's 24-32. They literally have a losing record. They won their conference tournament. 2 seed DBU. The 3 seed is Rhode Island. What stands out to you about this weekend, and who do you got winning? Be careful who you choose. Yeah.
Well, it ain't hard. I mean, this is a really easy it's a really easy regional to pick. LSU, they do get a really easy draw, I will say. I'm not hating on anything LSU's done because they are a good team. But they might have the easiest draw in the tournament behind Texas.
Okay, I was about to say, I think UT had an easier draw than us, but
yeah, behind Texas. But dude, that Little Rock matchup, I mean,
yeah, there's no reason we shouldn't run rule him. And I don't expect to see Cade Anderson on the mound game 1, but maybe we do throw him. I would hope not, but
no way. I think you could throw a high school commit and have no problems with Little Rock. But then DBU, Rhode Island, just nothing that sticks out to me. They probably won't watch the game. And then whoever gets that, good luck because you're going to need it against LSU. So taking the Tigers.
Yeah, for time sake, I mean, I could talk about this LSU ball club all day long, but I mean, y'all have heard me. I mean, they've got the best 1-2 power punch in the combo, power combo in the country. They've got Anthony Ianson on Saturdays, Cade Anderson's on Fridays, 2 top 10 pitchers in the country. Pretty hard to hit against them. And their lineup really has the potential to be one of the best hitting teams in the country. I mean, they have been, but they've kind of been up and down this year. They are still like a top, I think, 25 team in the country when it comes to hitting the baseball. But, yeah, I mean, DBU is the only team I think could make some noise here. But they played LSU earlier on in the season, and I think it was like a 7-3 ball game. LSU ended up winning that. I will say, though, that was a midweek game. Midweeks and weekend games are completely different. But I agree. LSU had kind of a easier draw here. Knock on wood. Hope the Tigers make it out safe. But, yeah, moving on. We've got Clemson, the 11 seed. They're hosting the regional. Their 4 seed is South Carolina Upstate. Then they've got West Virginia as their 2 seed. And then their 3 seed is Kentucky. Honestly, this is a pretty interesting regional to me overall. I mean, you've got West Virginia, who was on the verge of hosting all year. I mean, they've got the best record out of any team in this regional. I mean, they were the number 1 team in the Big 12 all year long. I mean, they really haven't lost much. Then you've got Kentucky, who is known for playing small ball. I mean, me and you disagree on this because I do think they deserve to be in the tournament. I know you don't. Regardless, they're in the tournament. But Kentucky's kind of a team that can make noise here. I'm not saying they will, but I mean they've got a shot too. Before we talk about that, who do you think is going to win this regional, and what things could you see? Anything that stands out to you in this regional?
Yeah, I think I'm not upset that Kentucky made the tournament. I'm upset that they were so locked in the tournament, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think –
yeah.
I think they should have been a bubble team.
I mean, what were they a 13 win or were they 12 win SEC team? I think
13.
They were 12.
They were 13. They were 13-17, but having a 29-win season, I mean, should never be safe to me. I mean, like, in my opinion, 29 wins – If they sat there and won 20 SEC games, but still had 29 wins, I don't think you're safe. Like I value 30 wins. And to say A&M, they had 30 wins. They did lose those 3 games to Missouri, though. That's why, that's what held them back. I think Kentucky can still do damage, and I think we'll beat West Virginia because West Virginia is not a very good team to me. I know they have a good record and have looked good in the Big 12, but I don't buy that. So I think it'll be Kentucky and Clemson. But Clemson is very inconsistent. I think if Kentucky manufactures runs, I think they can actually come out of this regional. Jacob Jarrell, he's a great hitting catcher. He's hit about 15, 16 home runs. He's kind of got his stride back. But I'm going to take Kentucky to win the regional.
That's not crazy to say. I mean, honestly, West Virginia, Kentucky, and Clemson, all in my opinion, you can make an argument for winning this regional. I think it's going to be – I'm really kind of torn on this West Virginia-Kentucky matchup because, dude, no one really knows how good this West Virginia team really is. I mean, I guess if you're a Big 12 baseball fan, you're going to sit here all day long and preach about how good West Virginia is. But point is, the Big 12 has been so weak this year. But they have such a strong record. I know they didn't win their conference tournament, but to be fair, they didn't really need to do anything in their conference tournament. I guess maybe they would have won. Maybe they would have hosted, but nobody in the Big 12 hosted this year. So – clearly, that shows what the committee thought about the Big 12 as a whole. And then you've got a team like Kentucky who was kind of a bottom-tier SEC school this year. But they did they picked up a road win against UT, one of the games. They almost won the series against Vanderbilt. They almost won the series against Georgia. I mean, they've got all these almost wins. I mean, they're always that close, it feels like, this ball club. Then you've got Clemson, who – started off the year really hot. We thought they were going to be clear-cut top 5 team in the country. They kind of got inconsistent, kind of dropped some games they shouldn't have. Now they're sitting at a 11 seed, which isn't bad. Obviously, you're still a top 16 team in the country. Man, I don't know who's going to win this weekend. I'm going to go with West Virginia here, honestly. West Virginia made it to Supers last year. And I think they kind of returned a lot of their players, and I think that they do it again, honestly. Also, I'd love to just kick the crap out of them in Baton Rouge with LSU. That's part of why I'm picking them here. But, yeah, I really do like West Virginia this weekend. I think they prove a lot of people wrong, and I think I don't know. Now I'm thinking, dude, Clemson could – I don't know. I'm going to stick with West Virginia here just for the fact that I'd love to see an upset this weekend. But, dude – Cam Camarella, Clemson's one of the best ball players in the country. I mean, he had that crazy Willie Mays catch last year against Florida in that regional. I mean, they've got some dogs, Clemson does. So, I mean, honestly, okay, scratch that. I think Clemson's going to make it out of this regional, but if it's not Clemson, I like West Virginia. But Kentucky could – from a betting standpoint, I guess, honestly, I would say to stay away. But if you're looking for odds, I guess take Kentucky or West Virginia. But, man, Clemson's a good ball club. So give me the Tigers here. Moving on, we've got the 14 seed Tennessee, the Knoxville Regional. Okay, I'm going to be honest, dude. I don't think they should be hosting. I know they are good enough to host, and they're a good baseball team. They're a great baseball team, but based off of the amount of series of losses they had, and then they turn around and get beat pretty bad against Vanderbilt in the SEC tournament, I don't think they deserve to host. I mean, what do you think?
Yes, they should be hosting.
Dude,
and they will absolutely kill everybody in front of them in this regional.
Well, I'm not arguing with that. I mean, they are going to win this regional. Let's introduce teams. So they got Miami of Ohio as the 4 seed, is the 2 seeds Wake Forest, then 3 seeds Cincinnati. I'm going to be honest. Miami of Ohio and Cincinnati. I'm going to be so straight up. These teams are not tournament teams. Then you've got Wake Forest, who I guess was not bad all season. They were pretty inconsistent, but if their bats are rolling, they're a hard team to beat. But their bats got to get rolling, and they're going against Liam Doyle, and this Tennessee team. I mean, Liam Doyle is probably not going to pitch. I don't know. Do they hold off? I mean, here's the thing with Tennessee. They've got 3 pitchers that are all really good. So it's is it even worth holding off Liam Doyle? I mean, maybe, yeah. Right? Because Ohio is not great.
Yeah, I would honestly throw Doyle the second game and then save Marcus Phillips for the championship or for the Saturday Sunday game. He looked really good in the SEC tournament as well. But Tennessee, dude, Keelan, Fisher, Inslee is like leading off 1, 2, 3 is honestly like you should score a run every single first inning.
No, yeah. And Marcus Phillips also, like, he did really well against LSU too whenever he played. I mean, we couldn't hit anything. Like, I think he's just as good as Liam Doyle. Like, I think it's like him and Liam are like equivalent to Anthony Ianson and Cade Anderson as far as when you talk about a 1-2 punch. Anyways, continue what you were saying.
I just think Tennessee rolls here, and I think those three guys, even though like Nate Snead, like he hadn't been, I know he was a big part of the team last year, and he hadn't been like crazy good for them, and he came in and really shut the door against Texas.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna agree, dude, with you. I'm gonna be honest, man. Tennessee's, I don't see a way they lose this regional. But back to what we were talking about, man. That you lost 5 SEC series in a row, and then you get beat pretty badly against Vanderbilt. I know they did pick up wins against Bama and Texas, which were big for their RPI, but still, man, I don't know. I mean, they talent roster-wise, team-wise, yes, they are a top 16 team in the country, maybe even top 5 team in the country. But based off of the way they've been trending, I don't know if that was enough for them to host. But you know what? The point is now they're in, and they're going to make it out of the regional. I would be very surprised if any of these other 3 teams even lit a candle to as hot as this Tennessee team is going to get this weekend. And I think that's very scary for the regional. We're about to go over the Fayetteville, Arkansas regional. Arkansas coming in as the 3 seed. They're the number 1 seed, obviously, hosting in this regional. They're coming in at 43-14. They're hosting a North Dakota team who won their conference. They are 20-32, losing record. Then you've got 2 40-win teams in this regional. You've got Kansas, who kind of like a West Virginia, they were 1-2 with West Virginia kind of all year, bouncing back and forth. West Virginia was probably a little bit better. And then you've got Creighton, who's 41-14, who I really don't know much about this Creighton baseball team, but they are a 40-win baseball team, so that's something to look at. With that being said, I think Arkansas is going to roll through this regional. I think Kansas could maybe give them some hell, and it would be an Arkansas thing to do to lose this regional. But I'm going to be honest, this Arkansas team is different. They've got a potential Golden Spikes player on their team, the SEC player of the year on their team. You know, they've got a really good lineup. They're hitting the ball really well. And a lot of people think this is the most complete baseball team in this 64-team field. I'm not going to agree nor disagree with that, but the point is they're a very, very good baseball team. And I think it doesn't matter who you put in the regional. I think you can count on the Hogs to make it out this weekend, especially in front of that home crowd. What do you think?
Yeah, I 100% agree. The one thing I don't agree with what you said was that Kansas can give them something, because they can't. I mean, Arkansas is 10 times better than any of these teams in this regional. Kansas is a very overrated Big 12 team. Creighton, well, there's nobody in the Big East, and then North Dakota State, Carson Wentz isn't going to save them. So
if we were talking basketball, this would be a lot more interesting, but we're not.
It's going to be a good basketball regional. I mean,
it would be, I would be watching. This would be cinema if this was a basketball regional, but obviously it's not.
Yeah. So I think Arkansas wins easily here, but something that sticks out to me that I don't like is that you won't see Arkansas and Tennessee in Omaha, because both of those teams are definitely top 8 teams roster wise. And so it really does suck for Arkansas and Tennessee that matchup is going to be in the Super Bowl.
I agree. I was just about to say that's a really bad draw as an Arkansas fan. Like, that's not a draw I'm happy with. Why are we getting paired with Tennessee? It's like, dude, we worked hard all season. We're getting the number 3 seed, and now you're playing Tennessee, who, man, like that really, like, as an Arkansas team, I was hoping to get like Southern Miss or Coastal Carolina, maybe Clemson,
or Oregon. I think, like that. Yeah, I think you should have paired Tennessee as the 12 with UNC, because I think it's really unfair kind of pairing 2 SEC teams against each other.
I agree.
there's no other grouping that's like that. And you had multiple teams that you could have paired Tennessee with to stay away from that SEC, giving them, UNC or even Oregon State.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about that matchup when it comes up next weekend. We are kind of wrapping up this podcast, but there's some questions that I wanted to ask you or that we could give our thoughts on. So, the first question is, who do you think has the easiest overall regional? Not path, but regional.
Yeah, and I was big on it being Texas, but the more I did look at it, I kind of think LSU has it. So it's one of those teams for sure. But LSU/Texas is my answer for that one.
Yeah, I'm giving it to LSU. I think the reason I say no to Texas is I think UTSA is a really good baseball team, and I think they could surprise a lot of people this weekend. Kansas State as well. If they get hot, they're a good baseball team, but they just haven't. They've been so inconsistent. LSU, you've got DBU. That's about it. And DBU really hasn't been like the DBU team everyone's used to seeing. They're not the pastime DBU baseball team. Moving on, the hardest regional. Like if not necessarily like the best teams or whatever, but as a regional host, who do you think got screwed the most with the teams that they were put in the regional?
It's a tough question. I think the toughest one seed to make it out to me is Georgia. I know. No, because Duke's really only the other good team in that. I'll give it to Tallahassee and Florida State. I think Northeastern and Mississippi State. We previewed that matchup, and I'm really interested to see Northeastern's pitching staff because they have really good numbers. Let's just see if they translate against good hitting in Florida State and Mississippi State. But one of those teams could definitely beat Florida State. So I think that's the hardest regional for Florida State.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I think it's Southern Miss. And it could – the reason I'm not saying Coastal or somebody like that because, I mean, Coastal really doesn't have anybody other than Florida in the regional. I guess maybe ECU. But Southern Miss, they got stuck with Miami and Alabama. And in my opinion, as a mid-major school, those are two teams you really don't want to play because Miami at one point in the season, they got hot. And when they got hot, they were really hot. I mean, they're not hot right now, but, I mean, this Miami team, if they get hot, can really be, I'd say, 75% of the teams in this tournament. I know you probably disagree. You've never been high on Miami, but that is a team I've been high on. And Alabama, dude, I know we both picked Alabama out of this one, and I think that's going to reign true. But as Southern Miss, I would be honestly pretty pissed off that I got this draw, especially since you're paired with Vanderbilt. I know we weren't talking about supers, but you're paired with Vanderbilt too. It's like Southern Miss really, I do not see them going to Omaha at all. Anyways, moving on. Who do you think, or like, what do you think is going to be the best like offensive regional? Like, where do you think if you're a guy that just like wants to see home runs, wants to see hits, wants to see points getting scored, what regional are you putting on?
Two answers. You can split screen them. It's the Oxford Regional and it's the Corvallis. I don't even know how to say that. Oregon State.
Corvallis,
Yeah, it's Oregon State's grouping and it's Ole Miss's grouping. Top to bottom, I think it's Oregon State because Oregon State, St. Mary's, TCU, and even USC can hit the ball. But then Ole Miss, you got all those 40-win teams. Georgia Tech, you like them. Even Western Kentucky can hit the ball too. So one of those two for sure.
Yeah, those are both very good regionals to point out here. I'm going to go with what you just said, the Oxford Regional. I will say Corvallis should be pretty interesting to see too, but I'm going with Oxford just because, dude, I think the Western Kentucky-Georgia Tech game is going to be competitive, and I think Ole Miss playing Georgia Tech is going to be very competitive too. I think there's going to be a lot of runs scored in that regional. Moving on. Best pitching regional. Like, where do you think, like, what same thing as batting, like what regional are you putting on to see some of these pitchers go to work?
I think it could be that LSU regional. I mean, okay, no. I'm going to give it to Chapel Hill. I
was gonna say the same thing because North Carolina's got great pitching staff, and then Oklahoma's got great pitchers as well. Yeah, I agree.
I'll be interested to see
100%.
what Holy Cross and Nebraska can throw out there. But that North Carolina, Oklahoma, they both have some studs on the mound. So I would say that, and then honestly, Tallahassee's a sleeper.
Yeah, they do. I agree.
Arnold and Vellini have been good for Florida State, and then that Northeastern has probably the lowest ERA. And then Mississippi State's got some guys too, so that'll be a good one as well.
Yeah, no, you're spot on the money with those picks. Okay, we've got scariest 2 seed. Who do you think out of all the 2 seeds is scariest? I think we're gonna say the same team here, but who would you say?
Matchup wise, it's Duke for Georgia, but the scariest 2 seed, it has to be Florida.
I don't even need to say my answer here. Chomp.
Maybe Alabama too. I think
Bama's tough too, but I'm going with Florida over Bama. I mean, that 2 seed could make some magic happen, especially with them being paired with the Auburn regional too. I think Florida can beat anybody out of that regional too. This is a scary 2 seed. Anyways, moving on. Who would you say is the biggest potential upset of the tournament? Like, it doesn't even have to be a team coming out of a regional, but maybe a 4 seed beating a 1 seed. What do you think is the biggest potential upset we could see this weekend?
Your biggest upset, and we had made the pick earlier for the regional, but I want to completely go back on it. I said Arizona was going to win the Eugene regional. I think it's Utah Valley, the 4 seed. I'm really high on that ball club. My upset pick would be them beating Oregon. But they can win the regional. So I'm actually going to take them to win the regional. Utah Valley, 4 seed.
So for me, it's going to be UTSA. Do I think this is going to happen? Probably not. But UTSA, I could 110% see moving on to Supers. I think they're a team that has not been talked about all year long. They're coming in as that 2 seed. And they're probably going to be underdogs against Kansas State. I mean, they're probably, I think they're going to be underdogs in both the games they play and to start off. And I think they could potentially win both games. They probably won't. But if we're going with the, put a gun to my head, pick a team, that could be an actual upset here. Like, we're not talking about Bama and Southern Miss. So, we're talking about a legit upset. You have Utah Valley. I think it's UTSA. Those 2 teams, I agree, both could make something very scary happen, could turn a lot of heads, and I would love to see the Roadrunners do something this weekend. Moving on, the final couple questions we got: who's the scariest 3 seed in your opinion?
2 teams, both out of the SEC: Kentucky and Mississippi State.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm looking here. I agree 110%. I think Kentucky and Mississippi State are both equally pretty good 3 seeds. I don't think there's any better 3 seeds. I'm right there with you. Kentucky and Mississippi State. Scariest 4 seed, I'm sure you're going to say Utah Valley, but any others maybe? Or
yeah, I'm going to give you one more. It's going to be, where were they? Sorry, I was looking at where St. Mary's. Just because Oregon State they haven't really played anybody. So it's going to be interesting to see. But St. Mary's, those 15 runs, they can hit the baseball. So we will see.
Yeah, I agree. I like St. Mary's too. But I don't think they're the best 4 seed. If I'm going with the 4 seed, I'm probably going to go with I'm probably going to go with Wright State here. I kind of like Wright State. I don't think they're going to do anything, but Wright State's a good baseball team. So if I'm going to go scariest 4 seed, I'd put them as my scariest 4 seed.
You don't believe in Binghamton?
You know what? Binghamton, go ahead and write them down. If you're a Binghamton fan, go ahead and book your Omaha tickets now. I think they shocked the world. No, that would be awesome, though. No, I don't. Binghamton, I don't think they do anything this weekend. I'm surprised they even got athletes at their school. Speaking of, did you see? I don't know if you saw there. If you look up the Northeastern baseball field, it's connected with their football field. Did you see that?
I saw a picture that was
Yeah,
So
I saw that on my Instagram today. I was like, wow, like that's kind of crazy. Like, how do you even hit a home run in that ballpark other than like the left field side? Like,
yeah, that might be why those ERAs are so low.
yeah, no, legit. That must suck. Nah, but that is pretty cool though, I guess. Like, what a way to, combine everything into one. But anyways, yeah, that sounds like it's about it for the end of the podcast. You heard it here first, guys. Let's see who has the perfect bracket. Can't wait for next week to see who wins. Any final thoughts on this weekend of baseball? Anything you think we didn't talk about or left out? Any last comments?
No, I'm just excited for the Supers. Maybe my pick of Utah Valley might happen. We'll see them picking against Chapel Hill Regional.
Yeah, I'm all for upsets this weekend. I would love to see that happen. Love to see UTSA. Would love to see some Binghamton Magic.
See
I
some
mean, who
Binghamton
knows?
ball.
I might watch the Binghamton game just because. But yeah, no, it sounds like we got a good pod, guys. We appreciate you guys listening up. We'll see y'all again next week. We're out.